give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
To curb corruption, one must be courageous to confront and rise up against the corrupt. Sleep well, be guided by ethics and standards for peace of mind. Refresh Sri Lanka for a civic-minded society. In association with 99X. LMD, the voice of business.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. Tonight we are going to talk about Sri Lanka's investment outlook, and with us we have the CEO and Managing Director of Capital Trust Properties, Minoli Wickramasinghe. Minoli, it's very nice having you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be interviewed.
To start off our conversation tonight, Minoli, in your view, is Sri Lanka a destination for investment in terms of real estate, the stock market and other avenues? Why do you say so, and how are we a destination for investment?
Okay, now Capital Trust Properties has been always bullish when it comes to real estate in Sri Lanka for many reasons. Its strategic location being part of the One Belt, One Road initiative, hence our strategic importance to superpowers like China, India and US. So we've always been very bullish. We also have seen rather unusual phenomenon where the West is now dominating the investments in the world. And now it's China and India that is where the economic growth is much more. We are next to the fastest growing economy, India, with 1.4 billion population, which is 64 times bigger than ours. And it's about 18% of the total population in the world. So that can be used to market our products and services, hence a good real estate proposition, I feel. We have also many resources, unlike most countries that have achieved success. Despite all this, we have been resilient. We also have limited land as it is an island. Real estate should be a good investment when prices are so depressed. Right now, we've had a lot of calamities like the East attack, COVID, all that. So land prices has not escalated from 2017. So prices remain the same. But apartment prices too, I mean, there is a lot of hype that apartment prices have gone up. But apartment prices too remain the same relative to the dollar prices, despite labor and construction cost increasing by about 150%, right? And Sri Lanka has undergone a roller coaster ride over the past few years due to a host of factors. The depletion of, one is the depletion of the foreign reserves, together with very high domestic inflation, dampening the economic activity, stifling growth of businesses and disposable incomes, as you well know. However, over the past few months, we have seen significant progress in terms of domestic economy, together with a notable improvement in the external sector. With Sri Lanka well on its way to a robust economic recovery, we believe that time is right to consider identifying suitable investment opportunities in the country across a number of asset classes, including real estate and stocks. With sharply declining, inflation was around 70%. Now with sharply declining inflation and fall in interest rates, Sri Lanka's economic recovery is accelerating, and the country is likely to record positive GDP growth, hopefully by next year. I think some publications say it would be around 1% growth. So that is a good sign. And companies, both listed and unlisted will benefit considerably from the decline in borrowing costs, which is expected to result in a notably recovery in the corporate margins and profitability, which was rather affected for 2 years. And the valuations of stocks listed on the stock market are most likely to become far more attractive than peers in the regional frontier and emerging markets as corporate profitability recovers. So as such, in our view, investing in the Colombo stock market could provide a healthy diversification for investors seeking long-term returns. So that's what I say. I think it's long-term returns.
And what is your assessment of the investment outlook of the island as of today?
Okay, so we have seen many problems come our way. From the Easter tax, COVID, political and economic turmoil. The real estate sector, I must say, has been very resilient in the face of all these. And the people have invested in properties despite all these calamities. And because it's a hedge against uncertainties, and also it's a hedge against inflation and also the exchange rate uncertainties. For me, I believe it's one of the safest one of the most safest form of investments. Now in the mid-term to long term, it surely will give you a return. We have come from a middle income country going towards a low income. Hence, a lot of people will concentrate on the safety and the security, right? So they will invest in more, goods that are primarily essential. So housing is a basic requirement and will always be needed. So that is something that I think the need of the day will be a low cost housing, and only now demand may be more towards affordable living until the economy picks up, and we will have demand from foreigners and diaspora who want to invest here, especially when the golden visa program is implemented. In terms of stock market, stocks are underpriced as P ratios are below 5 in most instances and are oversold. We should see stock market as a medium to long-term investment rather than, a lot of people just believe in, the next week the market will, the share will go up. I don't believe in that. So you need to take a medium to long-term perspective, because some of the shares are doing really well, but, because of certain uncertainties, it will remain depressed for a while. So that's what I feel.
Minoli, let's talk a little bit on property-related investments. Of course, we're seeing a shortage of property in the island, and it's causing a lot of ripple effects. Can you give some insight into this?
So as a result of a 4-year, for 4 years, we have had almost a complete halt in construction. We see a severe shortage in the residential developments, especially, and according to the central bank data, we actually require about 100,000 units of housing per year. And, the population is expected to increase from 22 million to 24 million by 2030. So that will, and the private sector has only managed to produce only a cumulative approximate total of about 19,600 apartments, which is just about 4,000 units completed last year. And this year it's projected to be even lower, possibly less than 800 units. And the following year would be even worse, with estimates falling to around 400 units. So we do a lot of research in the real estate sector. So additionally, population density in the Colombo district is anticipated to rise significantly from about 3,495 people per square kilometer to 5,722 per square kilometer by 2030. So with all this, the residential real estate is surely something that is needed, and it soon will become a shortage in the country if things don't improve in the construction sector.
And how do inflation, taxation, and the financial crisis impacting property-related investments?
Okay, inflation, as you saw, we had turmoil. Inflation went up to 70%, and a lot of people felt that it would be more like a sort of a hyperinflation, which will go much more. But we curtailed it. So I think it went to 70% in September 2022, and even the apartment prices increased in LKR terms, right, considerably, maybe even doubling. However, but it reduced in USD terms. That's what a lot of the consumers don't understand, is your actually didn't really appreciate. Now the inflation is coming down to about 1.4%, which brings the state, I mean, it's much more stable. So things are looking much better for the real estate sector. And also Sri Lanka, there is no refinancing on real estate like in other countries, which poses challenges to repeat buyers of real estate. Unlike other countries where, a lot of the real estate buyers will have like 4 houses or whatever. They can do that because they can refinance. Prime lending rates have gone up to 29.6% in November 2022, and that was a severe blow to the industry. Interest rates seem to be coming down rapidly, with PLR has now dropped to about 14%. The unusually high interest rates that lasted nearly 2 years have had a severe negative repercussions to the industry, and that really cannot be reversed easily as well. So that is this thing. So also I feel that interest rates coming down to single digits, as well as import ban being relaxed, will definitely help the industry, which had gone through a really tough time. And due to IMF requirements to provide debt sustainability, the government inadvertently had to impose taxes. The imposition of VAT on apartments of 15% and an SSL of 2.5% had a severe negative impact on the sales of primary stocks of apartments. Which I feel is a sort of, it's negative to the country as well, because we are not, we also have found out from our study that the reduction in sales have been about 98%. So it is not actually beneficial to the country as well in terms of collection of taxes. So this I feel is sort of an unsustainable tax, and we have lobbied as a group to see if that can be taken off in the future, because now we going from a middle income to a low income. Sri Lankans are unlikely to invest in apartments as much as they did, and it will be the market will be more foreign driven, and we are driving the foreigners away if we charge such a high tax, because then you also have a 4% stamp duty on top of that, and a 10% capital gains on top of that. So it's a huge tax burden. So that is, those have to be resolved if we are going to, get the real estate industry thriving again.
And when we're talking about real estate development, in your view, how important are FDIs and other foreign partnerships and joint ventures? How important are these for Sri Lanka today in terms of real estate development?
There is all evidence that we have gone from a mid-income to a low-income country, hence our spending patterns will change, like I told. So we'll be spending more on essentials, right? Our disposable income is much lower. So probably a shift, into renting and more focused on basics. So we have to depend on FDIs if we are to have economic growth. And it's vital. Our population is only 22 million. That is not enough to achieve the next level of growth. So we have to, hence we have to open up our economy to facilitate foreign direct investments. Port City is one such investment that we could leverage on. And since it's a big opportunity for Sri Lanka to attract investments and showcase it as a model economy. So that is something that is, so we have to attract FDIs if we are going to grow to the next level. And we being next to the fastest growing economy, India, with such a big population, I think we can leverage on that because they got 1.4 billion, that's 64 times our population. So if we do leverage on that and their middle class is growing, that will be a success story, I feel.
It's time to take a short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about investment outlook.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
You're mobile, and so are we.
Gets me going.
Grab the Lite 87 app at the Apple App Store or Google Play now.
87.8 and 87.6 island-wide. Lite 87.
Welcome back to the show. We have with us the CEO and Managing Director of Capital Trust Properties, Minoli Wickramasinghe. If you look at investments in terms of the stock market, what do you think the picture is looking like today? Are Sri Lankans investing as much or as little as we should?
Okay, with the ongoing economic recovery, I believe Sri Lankans should be investing more in the stock market, given its relative attractiveness compared to the other asset classes. Listed companies are expected to generate improved earnings going forward due to a combination of higher top-line revenue growth and decline in interest rates. This presents a good opportunity for investors to identify companies with strong and sustainable growth in line with the investment objectives. I believe it's all about selectivity. This means identifying the sectors that will outperform over the longer term and consequently selecting stocks within those sectors that are poised to record robust earnings growth and sufficient liquidity as well. So you need to see the liquidity as well on that stock where you can be able to sell it. With the digitalization of the Colombo Stock Exchange, the investor base has also widened and is likely to expand even further. So we've been only having about 1% in the market. So that percentage will probably improve with digitalization, where you can open your account online. There'll be a lot of smaller players coming into the market. So I'm optimistic that more and more investors will channel investments into the stock market, undermined by ongoing economic recovery.
And in your view, what are the main factors that investors today should look at when investing in the stock market?
Okay, there are several factors that investors should consider before investing in the stock market. One is to select investments that are in line with your risk appetite and maintain investment discipline. Then select your investments carefully, focusing on investments over the longer term rather than merely seeking short term. So I think most investors in Sri Lanka are short term, and they are not investors that use all the information of the share that is available by the research units of stockbroking companies and really invest for the longer term. That should be the mentality. And then diversify your investments to reduce your risk. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. That's why you need to, at the correct time, get into the shares. You can diversify your portfolio, invest in real estate as well. Then monitor economic conditions. You need to monitor both local and international conditions that may impact your investments. That's very, very important. And also focus on a company's future earnings rather than just historical performance. Monitor the factors that can affect future growth. While selecting companies that have robust fundamentals is important, stock liquidity should also be considered before investing in a particular stock, because when it's right to divest, you may not be able to divest otherwise. So those are the basic rules that you should keep in mind.
And Minoli, how would you advise potential investors on how to make the right investment decision in the short, medium, and the long term?
Okay, you basically need to know what your risk appetite is, what your disposable income is, how much you need for your day-to-day activities. I mean, you can't put all your money in one, stocks or whatever. So you need to see what your appetite is and classify your investments as long-term or short-term. Investments in property, if you're to get in, get a substantial return, will be more longer term. And so will the investments in good stocks at this time. And time is right, but it will take a longer for your ROI to be substantial given the present context. So that is the current conditions. That's what I can tell.
Minoli, as you know, LMD, we launched a campaign titled Refresh Sri Lanka to encourage a mindset change and create a more civic-minded society in Sri Lanka. How can investors ensure civic-mindedness when making investment decisions, looking at the bigger, larger social picture?
So this means that you should take into account the impact of their investments on the environment, society, and governance. So one way to do this is to invest in companies that have positive social and economic impact. And another way is to engage with companies to encourage them to adapt more sustainable practices. Investors can also use their voting power to influence corporate policies and practices. By doing so, they can help promote a more sustainable and equitable future for all. For example, Capital Trust Properties is a company that has always been conscious of our environment, society, and governance. We have donated medical equipment to the National Hospital during the COVID times. We channeled it through a few of the US medical sources. And our organization employs females, more flexible working, and we are also been sponsoring underprivileged children to finish their education. So the key areas of our CSR activities are health, education, and empowerment. So we have been known for our ethical, moral, and professional conduct at all times when our industry is not regulated. So the property transactional companies are not regulated in Sri Lanka, but we've kept the professional conduct, and we've done that's why we work with key global companies like Knight Frank, etc.
We're almost at the end of our conversation, Minoli, but before I let you go, any closing thoughts that you would like to share with our audience today?
Okay, I am for one very optimistic of Sri Lanka's progress made after a series of problems, both economic and political turmoil that we have gone through. As a nation, we are on the right track with the right reforms, I feel. We have stopped decade-old practice of subsidizing everything under the sun. So we have also started reforming our SOEs, that is the state-owned enterprises, which was highly corrupt and bureaucratic. We still have to change our labor laws to attract FDIs. I hope Sri Lanka benefits from India's economic growth story by closely aligning with India in trade. So those are my closing remarks. So I'm very positive that things may be good for Sri Lanka if we do the right things.
We've been talking with the CEO and Managing Director of Capital Trust Properties, Minoli Wickramasinghe. Thank you so much for being on the show with us, Minoli.
It's a pleasure to be interviewed.
And thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Until next time, Take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.